Hello and welcome to Fresh Face Comics, the comic book podcast where a lifelong comic book reader guides his friend through the world of comics for the first time. I am Joey Morgan, the aforementioned lifelong reader. With me, as always, is Jacob Licklider, the aforementioned newbie.
Happy 2022, everybody.
Yes, we are still, of course, recording this in 2021, but happy 2022. I hope it's already better than 2021. The new shelf I bought yesterday just broke the night that I built it. So it's with any luck, I'm already off to a better start with this year.
Hey, the goat in Sweden burned, so we're all set for a good
That's
2022.
true. That's true. Yeah, hope you all are having a fantastic new year so far. Excited for a whole new block of Fresh Face Comics. We have five Superman episodes coming up, and then we're keeping our bi-weekly schedule for the rest of the year. Going on with a bunch of other comics. A lot of exciting plans for this year. I'm so excited for what we have in store, and I'm so excited for Jacob to read certain things that we have coming up. But today we are discussing The Death of Superman by Various. So
this edition is by who does it credit? Dan Jurgens, Jerry Ordway, Louise Simonson, and Roger Stern.
Yes,
who did this first bit of the run.
Yes. So first off, before we get into today's episode, just want to quickly apologize for last episode's audio issues, even though it's not my fault. But
it's my fault. It's my fault. I am a technical ignoramus.
It's all good. It's all good. I think we have it sorted out this episode. I hope you didn't just listen to me giving another sorry about the audio issues warning. So I think we should all be sorted for this episode. Also, as far as other platforms that the podcast is on, thank you all so much for listening. We now have, I think, almost exactly the same amount of listeners on Apple Podcasts as we do on Spotify, so that's really cool. If you want to support us on other platforms that we're on, Google Podcasts, Anchor, of course, the YouTube channel is really important. Be sure to go check us out there, support us there. Even if you don't listen to us on certain platforms, just a subscription or even just leaving a rating on the podcast, it really does mean a lot. So whatever platforms you're able to support us on, please do. It has meant the absolute world to us. Also, at the time of recording, we are almost at 100 total listens, not on YouTube, so with our other audio only platforms. So that's really cool. We may be at 100 at the time this comes out, so that might be really cool. Just
definitely so after this releases, we'll hit 100.
Definitely. We've been getting a pretty consistent, like, near 30 listens per episode when they come out. So it's been nice. It's been really nice. The support has really meant a lot. So glad to know that you guys are enjoying the podcast. But I'm going to stop rambling now. Let's get into The Death of Superman. So, non-spoiler section first, as always. Overall thoughts? What is The Death of Superman about?
Well, it does exactly what it says on the tin, kind of like The Dark Knight Returns. Superman dies. Oddly enough, the first thing that kind of strikes me now having time to think about this first sort of like leg and what's a multi-arc series is kind of how consistent it is. Like you said, this is by Various. There are 4 different writers, and they're all kind of in sync with each other. Like, this is like looking into the production of this. This is something that was released weekly. Like,
yeah,
the fact that that there was consistency in how the plot progressed, at least in this first issue. I can't say obviously for anything that comes after, but it's oddly consistent and. Perhaps, for the most part, oddly enough, perhaps it was closest to getting the lowest score until the final issue of this arc really ramped it up, and I'm sure we'll talk about that in the spoiler section. Mm-hmm. But like it was very, very interesting because it doesn't feel like this is being written as here's an introduction to Superman. We start in the middle of ongoing story arcs across 4 different comic series.
You said something really interesting to me when you started reading it, that like clearly you're picking up at the end of a serial, but the end of like the previous story arc, but at the same time it's the introduction of a new arc, and we have like this whole first issue is the first appearance of Doomsday. We know Doomsday is coming. Obviously, we don't know who Doomsday is. Well, we didn't know who Doomsday was, but we know Doomsday is coming. Like that's the start of this new story arc. As we're still finishing up the previous one, this was all still published as the Death of Superman. Though there were a good couple issues before this that were still published as like just the same story, the Death of Superman, but they had nothing to do with any of the later stuff in this particular paperback edition. But I like that what you put it out there. Like you said, like it's like a serial. I mean that's all of comics really. It's like a weekly serial. Like it just happens to be monthly, but it's like a weekly serial. You're following across multiple titles. You're following mostly the same storylines across multiple series. It's just it's bits of a story piece by piece. And I really like that analogy you made of just like this sort of television or potentially radio serial just done in a comic book format. I really really like that.
And especially for a character like Superman, it works really well to think of it
Mhm.
like that. Like there's kind of a bit of larger than life scale with, especially with the way Superman's portrayed in this book. Like this, there isn't a whole like in this issue. There isn't a whole lot of character moments. Like at least not big character moments, but the ones that are there really are because I imagine they're having to write this in mind that because this was like going in, I knew this was like a story that made national news. It's like
Yeah,
they're killing off Superman,
yeah.
um, and like didn't like I think the news played it like it's gonna be permanent. We're
Hmm.
killing off Clark Kent.
Yeah, pretty much. Even though, like as we read this, and as you'll see in like the future volumes of this particular story arc, there were four Superman titles going on. There was Action Comics, Superman, the Man of Steel, Superman, and the Adventures of Superman. And it's kind of hard to really sell that to at least a contemporary reader and say like, oh yeah, Superman's gone for good. He's never going to come back. Really hard to say when there are four very strong, very popular Superman titles going on side by side.
Side by side and publishing week to week.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
this is such an interesting thing. I think I think it's also just kind of fascinating. Um, kind of just that it doesn't want to kid around that like there's gonna be a threat. Um, like obviously it's not a spoiler that Superman dies, but like
What?
what? In a story called The Death of Superman, Superman dies. But like the entire story is building up to that death in universe as well as what I noticed out of universe. Like to the reader, you have the art itself. One, the art staying very consistent with one style over like I think they're even more artists than writers. No, same as four pencilers, five inkers, two colorists, and four letterers.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
like
Insane. But it still like fits so well together. It's very uniform.
it's very uniform. It's not like say a creative Brian Boland or Tim Sale. It's
Hmm.
that's not to say it's boring either. It's just
Yeah,
like
no. Mm.
it's very much like no, we need to make sure we're getting the job done and getting across what we need to get across, or
Yeah.
else this entire idea of let's kill Superman will not work. Um,
Mm-mm.
because there are moments, especially near the end and certain bits in the middle where the detail is is graphic and it hits even to someone who doesn't know a lot of these characters
Hmm.
like because they're like going in we may as well say I didn't entirely touch on it I've coming to this I've seen Superman, I've seen the Man of Steel, Batman v Superman, Dawn of Justice Ultimate Edition, and then the theatrical cut of Justice League. That's
And
really it.
that's all your experience with the character of
That's
Superman,
my
other
experience.
than like and obviously Dark Knight Returns.
Yeah.
Just minor like appearances here and there aside from those. Yeah. And also of course Superman being a very culturally very like one of the biggest hero in comics. It's a character
Probably
that,
like the first superhero, really, if
yeah,
you.
that like even if you've never seen a Superman movie, read a Superman comic, seen a Superman TV show, you know who Superman is. You know the bare bones basics about Superman, and so I think like for the most part, you don't really need a primer on Superman going into this. Like you at least know who Superman is. It's okay to be your first Superman comic. But what I'm curious about actually is how much you knew about Doomsday before this.
I I didn't. I only knew essentially what was in, even before we did recorded the last episode, what was in the theatrical cut of Batman v Superman, that genetically modified creature kills Superman.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah,
I
pretty
don't
much.
entirely know if that's the comic backstory. Like, I think actually what makes this
Well,
comic work is that it is part of the reason of Doomsday as sort of as a character, which
yeah,
I will get into in spoilers.
yeah,
Um,
but that Doomsday is completely like unknown. We don't know where he came from. We don't know his power levels, and that's a lot of what this particular volume is continually finding out just how strong Doomsday is, and see and Doomsday constantly presenting new challenges for Superman to face as he fights him, and not just Superman but other heroes. And of course, we'll go into more of those later on. I did have to laugh though. I screenshotted this because I had to go over it in the episode. When you were first talking to me about the way Doomsday looks in this, you described Doomsday as a fat, low-budget Cyberman in a green costume with goggles.
yes, yes, that is it is that is kind. It's a campy design.
It is,
Like,
yeah, yeah, it
the
is
first the
absolutely.
first the first full body shot you see of Doomsday is the cover of essentially what this first issue collects.
Yeah,
And it looks goofy. He's punching his hand through a wall. Yeah,
yeah, it's
it's a goofy
gorgeous.
design.
Yeah,
Um,
but then I like immediately said back to you, I was like, that's how he looks for most of the volume. So
which is true. Like,
yeah,
you
but
slowly
again,
get the green.
yeah, but also like that's another really cool part about like continually finding out about Doomsday's strength. Because really, when you first see him, you don't even know what he properly looks like because he's in that containment suit. So like slowly that suit gets like ripped off of him throughout the story, and you see what he looks like. Now again, also Doomsday is a fairly popular character, so we know very well what he looks like today. But I can't imagine what that was like as a reader at the time, just slowly finding out what Doomsday looked like under this suit, week by week, issue by issue. It must have been so interesting.
It must have been, and just again seeing things escalate. That's the important part. I'd also say I just kind of sort of another sort of non-spoiler note, at least on what this volume contains. That also it's not just Superman titles that are collected in this volume. There is an issue of Justice League, um,
Hmm.
which is it's an interesting thing that it's like, right, we're going to open this up. Like, this was definitely something that like people would have had to have like know what to follow.
Oh yeah, yeah. Well, usually, they cut them out for collected editions typically, but usually there's like a little like bar at the bottom of each issue that says like continued in issue title number whatever. And you continue the story there, and there'd be a little bar on the bottom that says continued in this issue, and buy it on this date, whatever. That's how those things would typically be advertised. Nowadays, when there is a like crossover event that goes across multiple issues that you absolutely need certain issues to follow along with the story. Nowadays, in like little like advertisements, in when you buy a single issue of a comic and they're hyping up one of those big events coming up, there's a big like checklist of like buy these issues here on this date, out this week, out this month, whatever. Buy these issues. Here's the order you read them in, and we get that. But back then it was typically like out next week, buy this issue, and here it is. I had an uncle, I know I told you about this, who bought all of Death of Superman all the way up to his return and everything as it came out, and he has the entire collection in single issues. And like again, it's just a fascinating process, something that I don't think you'll ever properly experience. I mean, maybe you will. Who knows? Maybe somewhere down the line. But it's definitely one of those phenomenons that's not exclusive to the world of comic books. Is very
It's unique. It's unique.
yeah, it is. Yeah, it absolutely is. Um, yeah, so it's just one of those interesting things that I don't think you see everywhere, but something that I was really curious to know your thoughts on. So cool. What else? What else? I think that's about it for non-spoilers,
Yeah,
right?
just I mean, yeah, for I just sort of I'd argue just in case people sign off after non-spoilers, especially because despite the big, obviously the title giving away the ending, there are some interesting spoilery stuff that you may want to actually discover for yourself if you read this. I will say, overall, it does it's very slow to start. Um,
Hmm.
like it's not bad by any means, but it's kind of slow up until those last couple issues. The last one especially is really good.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
so yeah, I'd actually say yeah. I'd say at least I recommend at least reading this. I have some hopes for where the story goes after this.
Mhm.
Because yeah, this isn't the end of the story, but yeah, no, Death of Superman is an interesting read.
It is, and I really would recommend like getting like the whole saga. If you haven't figured it out yet, we will be covering the whole saga, all 4 volumes that they're collected in. Plus, we're going to be covering Superman Doomsday. So if you have those like 2016 editions of Death of Superman,
The
it comes.
2016 editions are very pretty on the shelf.
They lined up with the spines make like the bloody Superman symbol and everything. It looks so great. So if you don't have it,
I also
um,
know there's an omnibus coming sometime this year. I think it's
in May. Yes, there's not. Yeah, Omnibus coming of Death and Return of Superman coming in May. It will not collect Doomsday as far as I can tell, but it is the entire arc: Death, Funeral, Reign, and Return. So you can get all that there. It'll be coming out in May, a little bit after we're done going over the whole arc. So. I'd say it is worth it, but honestly, I think overall you'll be spending less money if you just get the 2016 editions. Anyway, let's move into spoilers. All right. So, I like these first 4 pages of just Doomsday punching
they're
through the
they're
wall.
very weird. They feel like they're ripped out of other issues.
Oh,
Like
they are. They are. Yeah. It's
okay, so this is
yeah.
like
So these would appear as little ads at the back of other issues, promoting Death of Superman coming up soon.
yeah. I mean, it feels like it should be read in a like a radio announcer voice, like the first one. Somewhere else, Doomsday is coming.
Yeah, you'd see it like at like the end of every episode. Yeah, it's like that. So they're collected at the beginning here. I don't think it's bad. Like you see like the claws, or not the claws, the bones coming through the glove as he continues punching. Just a really cool visual. And then we get into the first issue in the collection, which is Superman, the Man of Steel, number
18.
18. 18, yes.
Written by Louise Simonson. Uh,
Wait, hang on. Numbering is weird on these things. Wait, is it? I'm totally lost on these. I hate old comic book numbering. And I say old. It's only from the 90s, but I say old. It's number
18.
It is 18. Okay, you're right. Yeah, sorry. Cuz there's a little like 45 there under 92. Anyway, sorry. All right, so
I think that's like this year 45 in this series or something. Like because like it increases and then once you get to 93 everything resets to 1. Uh, I think that's what that might mean. Like
baby, I have no clue honestly.
I don't know.
Yeah.
But yeah, like we said in the non-spoiler section, a fun cover. The Superman logo is cracked.
Yep.
Um, the beginning of the end, and oddly enough, uh, the first couple of like the first 2 pages are just in a field. Doomsday breaks out of
Yeah.
the
Before we move
Earth.
on with that, I like in these editions. These are the 2016 editions are the only editions to have this. Those little gravestone filler pages for Here
Ooh,
Lies
yes,
Earth's greatest hero.
that
I
is nice.
Ooh, I love them. They're in all 5 volumes, and they just look so nice. I love the little parallel here on these 2 pages though of Doomsday punching up to straight to Superman punching up. It looks so nice.
Yeah, it's very fun. But what I think is interesting is that the first issue is it does sort of it feels like it ends a previous story. Um, I imagine that's kind of what it was doing, at
Yeah,
least a little bit.
but also I do think it is written in such a way that you can just sort of jump onto it.
Yeah, because you have this. It does a really good job of setting the scene of sort of here's what Superman means to a lot of people. Um, like you have this kid um, who buys some spray paint. The crotchety shop owner is like, "Oh, you ain't planning to use it on any subway walls, are you, kid?" Um, and you have, I will say, like when you get to the next page, something that kind of, I don't know who any of these characters are.
Oh no,
Um,
I don't either, to be honest. I haven't read anything like immediately before this, so I've got nothing.
yeah, these are. I think they're just trying to steal electricity. I think that's their plan, which is is very weird. Like, it's a very weird plan. But you have this kid, um, like going and just sort of spray painting. I assume what we're supposed to believe is their base, um, to where we can actually get to an introduction of Lois Lane.
Yes, this
Um,
is your first encounter with comic book Lois Lane.
Yes. So she knows that Superman and Clark Kent are the same person at this point, right? That's
They're engaged. Yes.
okay. So then,
I,
oh,
I,
that
I,
makes
I, I would say so, Jacob. I would say she knows that they're the same person.
look, look. I know that that's one of those things that like isn't always clear.
Well, no, they say it at some point in this, right?
I think they do.
Pretty sure they do. I think like even at like the final pages when they're like they say like the woman who would be his wife, that whole thing.
Yes. But yeah, it's this like it's interesting. You have Lois finding a note, presumably what it's implied to be from the kid, until the end of the. I think it's the end of this issue or the next issue. Switches that around, reveals that differently. And it's very '90s, like the computer. Like
Oh yeah,
there's
yeah.
like this is very 1990s.
That's one thing that's always cool about reading Superman comics, contemporary to whatever era they were written in, is how different the Daily Planet is in every iteration, and like you could just see this is a '90s Daily Planet.
Yeah, like because you have Lois then just leaving a message like, "Okay, Clark, someone says there's danger in the basement of the West Side Power Station. Meet me there. Signed, Lois."
I love this next page when Doomsday has like the one arm free and he like grabs the bird and
Yeah,
kills it.
this
And
is the first indication that you get that Doomsday is a villain and not just some dude who breaks out. Like,
because not only does he crush the bird in his hand, he laughs.
and
What I think is just
I
like,
imagine the laugh through like a voice box ring modulator type
oh
thing.
yeah, yeah, totally.
It's just
Get
like,
another quick
oh,
scene
poor
at,
bird.
yeah. Get another quick scene of the Daily Planet here. All the power goes out. The electricity is stolen from the entire city, and
And
Lois goes and finds these creatures in the underworld, as they call it.
I think it's the underworld, just the sewers of Metropolis. It
Pretty
sounds
much, yeah,
like it's
yeah.
just the
We,
sewers of Metropolis.
we'll be
Uh,
visiting Underworld a couple other times throughout this arc. It's never been something I've been terribly into. I don't know. I don't care that much about it, to be honest.
but some of these creatures' designs are very 90s, like the dude with spikes just everywhere.
In Doomsday.
And Doomsday. But like this dude has spikes fanning out from his head, and it doesn't look. Doomsday at least has like a sort of a semi-sensible design by 90s standards. This
Yeah,
this
this is
this
just
this this is just weird.
like it's like do you know the thing from the Fantastic Four?
Yes,
Yeah, it's like
that's
that with spikes.
which is just dumb. And yeah, it's this whole idea of like, we take what you want. Lois is held prisoner. You have the kid putting himself in quite a lot of danger, honestly.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
he's trying to save like who his mother, who they don't have. Um, Meanwhile, while this is going on, you get Doomsday punching a tree and
Punching
just like
a very well drawn tree.
a very well drawn, a very big tree.
Like
Like,
a pointlessly well drawn tree.
yes, Like he could have. I think it's supposed to represent like no, Doomsday is just gonna go in a straight line of destruction because he could just walk around the tree
Yeah, yeah.
like
But that
no,
breaks
we're
like his
destroying it.
that breaks the one bone out of his arm there too. You see a little bit more underneath the suit. It's so cool.
It's chipping away, and then you have this really nice sign of this kid after spray painting the Superman symbol, praying, and Superman knows who he is, and it's just like this kid is like, no, there's a reporter lady in the tunnels, and
Oh, I love it. It's so nice.
it's Lois, and then you have a really corny splash page.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Like this is kind of just it's a weird sort of plot line. It like what I think the yellow guy's name is Closter.
Yeah, it's just I really don't care about this plot in this issue.
No,
Like
you can see why I say it takes a while to get going. But
yeah, yeah.
the
Well,
day
it's
is
only this first issue, really, and the only reason this issue is included in the collection is because
of the
it's the first
Doomsday
it's yeah
stuff.
it's the first issue where like Doomsday plays like an active role. It's like side by side with us.
Yeah, but
So
like you get some nice action shots. Doomsday destroying some car, just breaking through like I think it's a tunnel or a bridge. It's a bridge. No, it's a bridge and breaking a bridge and laughing.
yeah.
Um,
I don't know why I can never properly imagine Doomsday laughing. Like and he does it a lot throughout, but like it's insane. Like I don't know, it's just really weird to me.
again, it's part of the reason why I imagine a 1960s Cyberman.
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
that's interestingly, you have something very nice about Clark. Not just punching out this old man when Lois has to stop because it turns out he's the informant, uh,
yeah, yeah.
which is
I
a
like
nice
that.
little twist. It's a nice little thing of that's nice. Clark is gonna save people, and
Yeah,
they give this
yeah,
homeless guy a job, which that's nice.
yeah.
Um,
And
it's picturesque.
this whole issue is just nice.
It's
It's just
nice, picturesque, and it ends with Doomsday destroying a semi truck
yeah,
um,
as one does.
in flaming, and it has a great. I love the last line. Now this sounds like a job for the Justice League
See, and there's the tie-in. And here we go. We move on to Justice League America 69. Let's fucking go.
by Dan Jurgens, who
Yes,
you
this is the
keep
first
referring
one by
to as
Dan
this is
Jurgens, who
his
is
baby.
yeah, yeah, Death of Superman is Dan Jurgens' brainchild.
Uh,
Uh
now this was an interesting issue.
yeah, let's dive into this. I'm really curious to know what you made of the JLA's involvement in this.
Okay,
So
I knew the names of three of these characters.
hey, that's a good start. that's
Um,
that's a good start. I remember you were talking to me, you're like, okay, so like why is the Justice League full of C-lister?
Yeah, it's like people who I have never heard of. Um, Also, why is the title Justice League America and not Justice League of America?
Yeah, so like there was this sort of like weird split in DC at the time. There was Justice League and there was Justice League America. Previously, just one thing, and it was Justice League of America, and it was sort of two groups. Justice League was your A-listers. Justice League America was everyone else, um, and and so on. So like, but there wasn't really like a proper like main Justice League title. This was it pretty much. Like there was a Justice League, but it wasn't the unified Justice League we know today. Even though that Justice League existed previously, it wasn't it was a weird shakeup at the time, mostly because they wanted to separate their big characters like Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman away to do like their own big arcs because they were still in the process of reinventing those characters post Crisis.
See that kind of makes sense. It's just, I mean, give it to some like minor characters. They're because they're all kind of fun-ish.
Oh
They
yeah,
don't entirely get to shine.
I love
Um,
I love Booster Gold and Blue Beetle. They're two of my favorite heroes, and Guy Gardner is always fun. A couple other good characters in here. Maxima's fun. Maxima has some great moments later on. Fire and Ice are a little more obscure. Actually, I've been reading Human Target by Tom King recently, and he's brought back like almost this exact Justice League team for that particular title. It's been really fun to read. It's like all these same characters in it. So, so you knew Booster Gold, right? You knew Booster Gold.
I knew the name of Booster Gold, and I knew Blue Beetle as Ted Cord, and I knew they like in my brain they pair. Um,
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. They're typically paired together as
uh,
characters.
and then I knew Guy Gardner as the edgy Green Lantern.
You would be correct.
I don't know why he's the edgy one, just that he is the edgy one. But like,
Yeah, yeah.
he's
I
not a
mean,
Green Lantern in this.
yeah, he's not. So he's had like his ring stripped away from him, and he just has a generic power ring.
Yeah, which is, I mean, it makes for some interesting conflict because this issue especially dives into like there's action like you start with like this just saving like some just cleaning up from Doomsday's um
Hmm.
rage through and just saving people,
Hmm.
which gives you a decent enough introduction to the characters. I mean, it looks like Guy Gardner gets his ass handed to him as he's flipping upside down with an energy fire extinguisher.
Yeah,
um,
yeah. Um, we cut over then to the Cat Grant show. Did you know who Cat Grant was before this?
no,
I forget. Did you watch the CW shows?
I watched some of Arrow and some of The Flash.
And you never watched Supergirl?
Nope.
Okay,
I I,
she was a big part of that show. Um,
I mean, she's
for
just
this,
a reporter lady.
yeah, yeah.
Like I
So
was
yeah,
like, my brain went discount Oprah
I
because
mean, I'm not sure that's entirely fair, but okay. So she's here to interview Superman. Meanwhile, the JLA is trying to hunt down Doomsday.
in a
Um,
giant in a giant blue beetle, which I
as you
think
do,
just it
as you do.
looks it's enough. It's camp but awesome.
Oh yeah, yeah. I love these two scenes played side by side with each other though. The interview and Doomsday's rampage and the JLA hunting him down. Just a really cool couple sequences. I love them
Yeah.
played side by side.
Well, because you have this character of Bloodwind who he's just enigmatic. Like his job seems to be enigmatic and have psychic-ish powers, kind
Yeah,
of.
yeah. I wasn't terribly familiar with the character either. This is the only thing I really know him from.
Yeah, like it feels like there is a story arc going on with him in the Justice League book that is
Yeah,
like
yeah, definitely. Like
crossing
it's
over here.
yeah.
Because but there are moments in this interview that I like. One, you have the scene of um you know, uh, this idea of Superman as the leader of the JLA, which he corrects her. It's unfair to the others to paint me as the leader of the Justice League. We're a group of people who have gotten together to do a job only we can do. Everybody in the group has a say on issues and and a vote as well. Which,
Mhm.
yeah, that tracks. Like,
Yeah.
I
I like also where Kat like tries to like pursue the point of like Guy Gardner sort of being this outlier in the group, and Superman's like, oh, Gardner, he's like we're colleagues, we our relationship is icy. We managed to get the job done. Played
yes.
alongside Guy saving Ice, from falling there, and
After
it's
Doomsday's just like, I'm going to murder everything.
yeah, as he does.
Um, but yeah, it's just it's a really that's a really good moment, because it does show that Guy isn't he's not evil.
No,
He's
no,
edgy as fuck.
he's just an edgy fuck. That's it. That's
Um,
all he is.
he has that oh so 90s line, feels good to get my hands on you again, babe.
Yeah. Yeah. Just
Um,
he's just a dick. That's it. um, I love then they go to like audience questions in the interview, and
yeah. The first
uh
question is a very good question. Like, wondering what you superheroes would do when you're not bashing bad guys. I mean, do you get together and party all the time or what? Now, now, I imagine Superman and Batman do party quite a bit.
absolutely.
It it happens. Yeah, it's very humanizing for Superman.
Mhm.
Um, especially because I think one criticism that I've seen of Superman is he's way too godlike and not human. And it's like,
Yeah,
no, no, he's a dude. He is
yeah.
a normal guy.
A lot
Uh,
of this is the product of the reimagining of Superman in the 80s, to sort of come, be a bit more down to earth, be a bit more human. And I've actually seen this criticism a bit recently from, I struggle to call them Superman purists, but I that's the closest thing I could think of, where they say that the humanizing of Superman was a detriment to the character. I strongly disagree with that. I think the human moments of Superman
I
are
mean,
what make his character.
he's still the big blue Boy Scout, like, but he's still a human. He's still, was raised in the American Midwest. Um, he works as a reporter. He fell in love and now has a son. Like, he's a person. Uh,
Yeah, yeah.
like, yeah. Um,
Oh
you can
god,
have darker characters, but like Superman doesn't need to be dark and edgy.
yeah. God, I love this page of guy getting his ass handed to him.
I don't know why, but it's fun to watch.
It really
'Cause
is.
I don't even know Guy, but like he's drawn in such a way that you're like, you're a shit.
Yeah. Well, even just like those little like dickish moments before, and you're just like, could he just like get beat up
Like
just a little bit?
it's like, no, can someone punch him? Like, yeah, you know.
Yeah.
I love how you cut to the classroom where like you have two students if you ask me, it's a yawner. It's a yawner, Mitch. No kidding. They should have talked to Guy Gardner.
Again, page of guy getting his ass handed to him.
Um, yeah, but like and it's a great parallel action as you see sort of the Justice League just all getting their asses handed to them. Like
Mhm.
Bloodwind gets like pushed through. I think it's a grain silo, but like it might also be an oil reserve. I can't tell.
Wait,
Um,
sorry. Wait, what was that?
you have Bloodwind being pushed through a grain silo
Yeah, yeah,
or an oil reserve. I think it's a grain silo. The art looks kind of like it's exploding.
yeah. I think that's the idea. Yeah.
Yeah, like, which as you have this idea of Clark of Superman being afraid for himself.
Oh,
I have
I
encountered
love
things
that.
powerful
Oh, I
enough to kill me.
love that bit so much. Oh, it's so great, and I love the way Superman's drawn there, and just those two pages in particular, side by side. Superman's face with the completely black background next to the girl asking the question. So great, so great.
Right as Ted Cord just gets his head slammed into a metal pipe, and ooh,
Oh God, it's just
it's
it
very
hurts. And again,
imposing.
like it's all building up to this conversation, like that it's something that only Superman can come in and help them with, and help to handle. This is quite a few superheroes fighting on Doomsday, and they're just doing absolutely nothing to him.
Yeah,
Doomsday is not phased in the slightest.
and Superman goes off to like as soon as there's a report, like he's going to go and help in Ohio,
Mhm.
and
Oh, and you get a great bit of foreshadowing here when Superman's answering the question. Violence is the price we pay to accomplish a greater good. As heroes, we choose to protect that good with our lives.
yeah, and then and then like because that's what then you have Booster Gold being pushed back like right as Superman arrives, um, and you have that chilling final line. Trouble isn't the word, Superman. I'm telling you right now, it's like Doomsday is here.
Oh God, so good.
Making Doomsday, as a character named because someone calls him Doomsday.
Mhm.
Which
Uh,
is fair because like Doomsday has no dialogue outside of laughing,
yeah,
and
yeah,
one word later on.
yeah,
Um, because like the next issue, you go back to it's what Superman 74.
yeah.
Uh,
Superman 74. I was kind of curious if you enjoyed the little guest starring Justice League America note there on the cover.
I- like really, are they like that's yeah? It's
It's
fine.
fun. It's really fun. I love it.
Um, because
Oh
because
God,
you
and that opening page to it. Oh, just Oh God, it's horrible. I mean, it's gorgeous, but oh man, that's rough.
Again, and this is the first issue I think drawn by Dan Jurgens in the collection. Um,
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
yeah, because like yeah, and obviously he then wrote it. Um, it's like this idea that Ted Cord is dying, um, and like you just see so much destruction.
Hmm.
Um, right as like sort of the Justice League kind of establishes itself as not being the most stable. Um, like it's not the most stably. They're not the tightest group. Um,
Hmm.
Despite their first issue in this collection being 69, which is long enough into a run of comics that you'd think, you know, that's enough to have some sort of a connection, but like they don't. Like this character Maxima just kind of wants to go off and you know just attack this thing again, and she's
Hmm.
convinced, okay, no, you're the only one who can help Ted
Yeah.
Cord.
Yeah. Interestingly, I like that we then follow that kid that was complaining about the
Yeah,
Superman interview, Mitch. One of my
and
favorite parts about this whole volume.
oh, it is great. Like he's a teenager. He like it's not the perfectly written teenager. This is the
I
90s.
mean, but what he represents is basically a Batman fanboy. Superman's lame. Why can't we have cool superheroes? I'm too cool for this. It's not. That's basically what that is. It's really, really interesting. So it's not the most in-depth character, but you get a glimpse into his family life and with his mom and his one sibling there. Like
Like
he
and like
lashes out
he's lashed
and
out because like his parents are getting a divorce, and like it's like and he's just gonna leave, and then oh look, a superhero gets flung through the window. You want your cool superheroes, Mitch? You got them.
and as well and with cool superheroes comes cool supervillains. Here's fucking Doomsday throwing a car.
And then this is the first time I think you really realize that Doomsday's only been doing this with one hand. Like,
Oh yeah, yeah.
like
It's fascinating.
his other hand is being tied behind his back.
Yeah.
Um, and
I love the bit where Superman first like lands in front of Doomsday, and you just get that amazing panel of Doomsday just punching. And he's Doomsday's like, I punched everything else. Let's just fucking punch this guy,
let's just punch it,
and
and
it just
it
lands
doesn't work.
and doesn't do anything. Yeah.
Um, and Mitch is still being an edgy asshole. Like, oh, big deal. The Spud was too slow and stupid to
Oh wait,
duck.
there's a little continuity error there. Look at that panel where Doomsday punches Superman for the first time. Is that his? That looks like his left arm, isn't it?
Yes.
But then it's still tied behind him.
No, his right arm's tied behind
Oh,
him.
oh, shit. Sorry. I fucked that up. Anyway,
Yeah.
never mind.
Yeah, no, his left arm is the free one.
Moving
They
on. I'm dumb.
But like the entire Superman gets thrown through the house.
God, and like it's just. Oh, and I love that little that panel at the bottom of that one page with Superman with the rest of the heroes behind him. What the fuck is with the way Guy is drawn there?
Yeah.
And then they all just shoot some superhero beams at him.
It's like
Let's see
let's
if that works. Oh, it must have worked. He's not
there, there
fighting
is
back.
there is an immortal line of no, not my baby.
I love it.
Oh, because yeah,
And
it's
then
like let's
even after all that, Doomsday still stands, and then we get our first really good look at what is underneath that suit. And oh my god, he's just terrifying. Look
it
at
is
that.
this face and it is creepy and like he just
It
he
is
just
just
just still is decimating everyone.
and just determined to kill anything in its path. It's fascinating. Um, Goes after Booster. Booster knew.
And there's a lot of speculation of like what is this thing, um
Mhm.
like maybe a robot or something from another dimension, whatever, it's deadly. like
Yeah.
um like you have all this action and there's still, I think what Jurgens does here that's important is that we also focus on this kid Mitch as like he's trying to save his little sister.
Yeah, that
That
sort of
is
point of view character there too. Um, and then the house gets blown up. He's sort of stuck in the middle of the fire. He's trying to help and save his family, and Superman has to at the same time wants to go after Doomsday because Doomsday is now heading for Metropolis.
Well, not quite yet. He hasn't made
Oh,
it to the
no,
mall
sorry.
yet.
Oh, that is later, isn't it? But still, he's
Yeah.
trying to go after Doomsday. There's this great inner monologue that Superman has. Says that boy I saw, I can hear him calling, but I have to ignore it. I'm so close. If I let Doomsday get away, there's no telling what devastation he'll be responsible for. Much as it pains me, I have to stay with him and block out that plea for help. Oh my
And
god.
he and that's how we end this issue, which is such a it's a chilling way to end the issue.
Yeah,
Uh,
Superman actively ignoring a cry for help. Oh man,
yeah.
that hurts.
And it continues in Adventures of Superman 497 by Jerry Ordway.
Hmm.
Um, and yeah, you get basically again like you would in a weekly series, a page recap.
Yep.
Um, but this is I think where you start getting the decreasing panel counts.
Hmm.
Like we are down to 5 panels, and we
Yeah.
open with like this great, like, it's not a full splash, um, but like, you have Mitch trying to do something.
Hmm.
Um,
And he's like starting to like inhale smoke as he's trying to go help his mom. And now he's like actively just crying out for Superman. Superman, you're the only one. Help us. None of the rest of the Justice League is in a condition to help him. So Superman does eventually decide to go back.
Not before just slamming Doomsday into a lake slash river.
Yeah,
Um,
but really, what is that gonna do? Like we've established at this point, like nothing can really properly stop Doomsday. Um,
it does buy them enough time for like the emergency services crew to get there, and getting this kid and Guy Gardner, and I think that's Booster in the yellow. It's hard to tell, but like
yeah,
just
Booster's there.
getting
Yeah,
all
yeah,
these
Booster Fire
people
is there. Yeah, yep.
some help. Um, and you have Guy Gardner being edgy as fuck. Don't bliss out, Boy Scout. Put this Doomsday guy in a pine box, or I'll crawl off of this gurney and kick both your butts.
You gotta admire the spirit at the
It's
very
like you
least.
you have spunk, kid, but I'm sorry. Your ass is already in so much pain. Because yeah, you get some more action. You have Doomsday destroying a military helicopter.
He then crashes into a police car in front of the Kirby County Police, which I fucking love.
I'm guessing that's a reference to Jack Kirby.
I would imagine it is, yeah.
You have this great police officer line saying, Chief, think I'm gonna need a bigger gun."
Fight continues. Just the sheer brutality of the fight between the two. You really do feel every punch that is
And
drawn there.
and at this point, we are down to 4 panels. We're down to 4 panels a page.
Mhm.
Uh, like it's slowly disappearing. Like Maxima comes back in to help.
Mhm.
Um, and again, Superman is true. He's not just fighting Doomsday. He's trying to minimize casualties along the
Yeah,
way.
trying to get people out of the way, out of harm's way. Trying not actively trying to stop Doomsday's destruction because he can't actively do that. He has to get people and things out of the way, while trying to fight Doomsday at the same time. It's this really great test of how far Superman's limits can be tested. I think it's fascinating.
And
Uh, you get
it's
this great little gag then with Lois going to get Jimmy from
yes, you have.
Cat Grant's studio.
Yeah. So, I was not expecting this great bit of comic relief of Jimmy Olsen as Turtle Boy.
I love it.
It's
Look at
this is
him.
one of those. This is honestly this and the next little bit are one of those like really good character moments.
Mhm.
Um, like
We're
like
like if you weren't actively keeping up on Superman comics, or in your case, this is your first Superman comic, letting you know like where our characters are at, and also just letting you know like like who certain other Superman characters are, you know? Obviously that doesn't help you much if you don't know who Lex Luthor is at all before this, but for someone like Jimmy Olsen, you know, like this is still like a good introduction, like letting you know, like, oh yeah, Lois needs him for this. He needs to come photograph things.
And Lois is done with his. It's not like a I hate you, you're dumb. It's a come on, Jimmy, you're dumb. Come on, we need to do this.
Yeah.
Get out of that stupid costume.
Doomsday officially has a name in the public eye. I love the little chart on the TV screen of the arrow saying Doomsday crouching into
Doomsday,
the ground.
and it's pointing to somewhere in Ohio, I guess.
I guess.
This doesn't look like a map of the United States.
Yeah.
And then you have my first exposure to Lex Luthor and Supergirl.
So I had to catch you up on a little on some of this beforehand,
Yes.
but this is really the only like external Superman information you need to know going into this. This is Lex Luthor the second. Not really though. This is Lex Luthor the second. After Lex Luthor the first got radiation poisoning from a piece of kryptonite that he carried around with him for years, Lex Luthor faked his own death, transferred his consciousness into an Australian body, and we have Australian Lex Luthor the second.
With
Supergirl.
who
Supergirl.
we joked in the last episode about Superman looking like a romance novel cover.
Oh my god. Wait until you see some of the ways he is drawn in Funeral for a Friend.
Oh, good, because I'm already getting those vibes from just the design.
There's this, I can't remember what issue it's in, but there's this great like full body shot of a shirtless Lex Luthor the second, and it is gorgeous.
But you have this interesting thing of like him keeping Supergirl by his side.
Yeah. Well, yeah, because as far as the public is concerned, this is a totally new Lex. This is Lex Luthor with all the money of typical Lex Luthor, but not the evilness of typical.
Not
Lex.
the evilness, but secretly the evilness. Like
yeah. Just every now and then, Lex will just turn to the audience and think to himself, "Little do they know that I am evil," and that's about
that
it.
that I am evil. So now because I don't have the only voice that I have for Lex Luthor is Jesse Eisenberg. Because I know the fact that Clancy Brown plays him, I imagine him speaking like Mr. Krabs.
No way. You know what? I had a weird experience with this too, though. Every time I read Lex Luthor the Second, I know I'm supposed to be imagining an Australian voice, but just Clancy Brown's Lex is just stuck in my head. I cannot get it out, no matter what I do. So it's only like when he's like specifically saying Australian things. Like his first line in this is the word bloody cut off. And I'm like, okay, cool, there we go. But like any line after that, unless he says like love at the end of a sentence, things like that, it's just Clancy Brown in my head. It's so weird. Once you get to know Clancy's Lex Luthor voice, like that will be the Lex voice in your mind.
I imagine, considering how much Brown has done that voice.
He's so damn good. I love him. So we cut back to the fight. Maxima and Superman are trying to fight Doomsday in a gas station, I guess.
Yeah, in a gas station.
I love that orange background silhouetted shot of just everything going to shit.
You know, as like things blow up, and you have this character called Guardian come in.
Yes. Did you know Guardian at all?
No.
All right, you don't need to know too much. He features a lot in Funeral for a Friend, and you'll get to know him pretty well there. For now, all you need to know is just superhero.
Superhero.
Yeah, like many of the others here. Not to overcomplicate things, and you'll get to know him pretty well throughout Funeral.
Because then we move into Action Comics number 684 by Roger Stern, which
Roger Stern, I would say it would be like the second in command on Death of Superman. It's Dan Jurgens, and like right below him is Roger Stern. He does about the same amount of issues as Dan Jurgens does in the whole arc.
Yeah, I've kind of noticed that through this. Like, it's a very nice rotating writers. Like,
yeah. Well, you could tell like which writers were assigned to like which title at the time.
Yeah, but again, you have again a couple pages of recap. A great moment of Doomsday throwing a car up, and Superman again just saving a guy in a car, and basically just saying don't go into shock on me now, because that is fair. They are high enough up that this dude could be losing oxygen, because then you have Doomsday attacking a grocery store,
As one does.
where the comic then goes very 90s.
Oh,
Like,
but also just I like the little bit that's Lexmart.
yes.
Yeah. Well, the oil thing was said like Lex Oil or something
Yeah,
on,
it's like
yeah. So
eh, Lex Luthor's a rich capitalist.
yes. Yes he is. Um
Um, but you have you have Doomsday standing over a giant TV, um, where he sees he sees a pro wrestling advertisement at the Metropolis Arena, right?
mhm,
Right.
right.
And he says his one line of dialogue, Metropolis.
Okay, I feel like we need to bring it up at this point. You found the funniest fucking thing on Amazon while you were reading
I
this thing.
did. I
You
think it was
found a
Goodreads. I think it was Goodreads.
Oh, was it Goodreads? Okay, I have the screenshots still. It was just this 1 star, terribly negative review of Death of Superman, and it specifically criticized that bit where like Doomsday doesn't talk. He's this big rampaging monster. All he says is Metropolis, and it was just the funniest fucking
I
thing to
mean,
me.
that's kind of the point. Kind of the point is that this thing is not human. This is just a thing that has a path of destruction.
Yeah,
And
it's
like,
it's
because if
it's
something's going to take down Superman, it's not going to be the genius of Lex Luthor.
yeah,
It's going to be an unstoppable
Lex
force.
Luthor, the average man, is the antithesis of Superman, but he's not the one that's gonna kill him in the end. Let's be real.
It's the Superman is the immovable object. Doomsday is the unstoppable force.
Yeah, yeah. And
Um,
we're about to find out what happens when those two things meet. Um but but also I guess it's one of those things you mostly notice on reread, or at least looking through the comic again. But the number of panels do continually
yeah,
decrease. We're now
we're,
down to 3 panels
we're
per
down to
page,
three. Um,
and that's pretty consistent through like again another weirdly consistent thing across like all the different titles the Death of Superman ran across is that they even kept like that small detail of just the number of panels decreasing and the size of the event getting larger, consistent throughout all those different titles. We got Lex the Second here looking like a fucking romance novel
Oh,
again.
well,
Look at that
you also
man.
before that you have just this great character moment between Jimmy and Lois, um, where Lois is trying to get a report out, and Jimmy's just like kind of just struck with awe, and she's just thinking, very big, be careful, Clark. And then you have romance novel cover Lex. Um, I don't. There's an implication with what he is doing there. Um,
Taking
of
off his
like,
tie.
yeah, yeah, and unbuttoning his shirt.
He just
He
wants to look
is,
as sexy as he is.
he is. It's again, and he all he does is he keeps just talking Supergirl down off
Yeah, yeah.
don't like no do, what is it? Superman can handle him, and I can weather the loss of of a Lexmark. Trust me, pet. The good people of Metropolis will feel better knowing that you and Team Luthor are home.
Supergirl is like saying here that she does want to help Superman. She wants to go out there and and actually fight alongside him. We get another we get the first of many. Lex isn't much throughout this particular trade, but we'll get to him more later on. But just another one of those moments where he like just thinks to himself, ah, little do they know that I am evil. And he's so we go back to the fight then. Superman is properly getting his ass handed to him now. Doomsday, from seeing the wrestling ad, gets fixated on the word Metropolis, sees Metropolis 60 miles, and starts going towards those signs. Doomsday is officially heading towards Metropolis. Superman is now actively going after him because of that. Meanwhile, Lois and Jimmy are still following the fight throughout the chopper there. There's just a lot going on here, but it's still fairly simplistic and very easy to follow.
And well, and you have this little Doomsday going through a place called the Cadmus Project.
Yes,
Um,
the Cadmus Project.
this seems like a tease for something. This
You'll get some Cadmus stuff in the next volume, actually. Um, but uh, secret government agency, typically run by Amanda Waller.
Oh,
That should
really?
that should tell you most of what you need to know. So
Okay, good.
yeah,
Not to be trusted then.
yeah, pretty much.
Uh,
Yeah, so
so
that's right.
it's
You do know Amanda Waller. Sorry.
it implies the Guardian works for them.
Yeah, yep.
Uh,
So
yeah, and you have just the entire issue, just the path of destruction as Doomsday gets closer. Like it's definitely like you get a 50-mile sign, and you have to just it's like the issue ends on we have to warn these poor people. Doomsday is coming. Uh,
it just reminds me of that again, that great analogy you made of it being like a TV serial and having these like really like cheesy cliffhanger lines. We have to warn those poor people, Doomsday is coming, and you have that great panel of Doomsday leaping towards Metropolis at the 50-mile sign.
and then Superman Man of Steel number 19, which has my second favorite cover, I think, of the
Oh, I
bunch.
love this
Um,
cover. It's so good.
because
Uh,
Clark just looks, and we're at this point we are down to 2 pages, no, 2 panels per page.
and
Um,
Doomsday has almost fully ripped out of his containment suit. Just little shreds of clothing left on him. We
and
see where
like
all
I
these
said,
bones and
he's
spikes
a very
are.
spiked design, but it's a spiked design that makes sense. Like
Hmm.
there
Well,
isn't dumb,
it's like where natural bone is protruding
yeah,
rather than there are
like
just spikes and bones around him.
because this is the 90s. Um,
Yeah.
like he runs through, and the issue is called "Doomsday is Here." Again by the Louise Simon, back to Louise Simonson, um, and you like Superman's determined to stop it. Like, um,
The active news coverage here gets to Ma and Pa Kent, who are watching at their house.
and this is
The
like, ooh, this is.
the
At this point, I was like, "Ooh, do they have to be watching this? Can they
Yeah,
not watch
right.
this?"
Yeah, like aside from the fact that the story is called Death of Superman, like the you could see the world is getting actively concerned over if Superman can actually stop this. This is
Well,
probably
yeah,
the long.
because like this thing started in Ohio. Metropolis is like my brain places it New York. Um,
Yeah, typically. I would say so.
like it's decimating a lot of the country. Um, like
And Superman has been fighting it most of the time. Before that, the entire Justice League was taking it on. It has not been stopped yet.
and now it's just him, and he's like, better finish this quick. If I'm gonna live to finish it at all.
Mhm.
Um, and like I think he crashes into the underworld. Oh,
And like pulls on this like power cable that like sends up this big explosion.
yeah. So like the city loses power. Um, and you have Lex Luthor basically being like, right, we need a press conference now.
Mhm. And once
Um,
again, look at that man. We move on.
again,
Uh,
he is a romance novel cover.
he is,
Um,
and at this point, Supergirl decides to go out and help Superman, and I'm pretty sure I told you about this beforehand, right? But Supergirl is a shapeshifter in this particular
yeah,
version.
that it's not your typical what Superman's cousin.
Cousin, yeah, typically cousin, yeah. Yeah, the Supergirl gets punched, turns to goop, and like falls to the ground.
Turns to purple goop.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
which is
Oh, do you know the character Bibbo at all before
no,
this? Okay, that's the sailor looking guy on this next page here.
yeah, he has a design that looks way too important to be just a nobody.
Yeah, you'll get to know Bibbo rather well throughout the rest of the story. Um,
Like, but you have like this great idea of like, gas mains are ruptured. Lois and Jimmy are trying with like all their coverage. Um, like what like the Cadmus Project brings in like their jetpack soldiers, which is very goofy. And we end this issue, which is mostly just fighting in like small character moments. Um, on basically the beginning of the final battle. Um,
mhm.
because then we have the issue. Superman number 75. The Death of Superman.
Look at that cover.
It's a
Like,
beautiful cover.
I mean, obviously, the image of the stick and the ripped up cape flying in the air is great, but what strikes me about the cover is the silhouettes. I love those silhouettes back there. They're
And you can tell who
gorgeous.
everyone is just standing there.
It's lovely.
And like at
Absolutely.
this, like you turn the page and you are at the entire issue is full pages.
Yep.
Just
Yeah.
just
You have these like Cadmus soldiers coming in and trying to like help Superman fight, but that does absolutely nothing, obviously.
like
Um
the title page is Superman's being lifted over Doomsday's head and
with
through then
with with, with this like blank sort of like thin piece of paper and these typed out words, Dan Jurgens words and pictures, Brett Breeding finished art. First off, Dan Jurgens wrote and drew this. Like
like
it's a labor of love, and you could and it comes through. You could tell.
because like the colors, the background colors are all somber throughout the issue. They're either blank like this first one, purples and blues and things like
Mhm.
that. Uh,
Yeah, yeah. I love this. I love this bit where like Superman's like holding up the helicopter with Lois and Jimmy in it. Jimmy's still trying to take a picture. Um, it's so great. He safely lands the copter, of course, but oh my God! Oh, I forgot about that page. Oh, that's gorgeous. Superman's last kiss with that Lois.
yeah, and
Oh, that's
it's like just remember,
beautiful.
no matter what happens, I'll always love you always. But now Doomsday gets his,
And
and
just
Lois is like, no, get help, get help. And Jimmy's just like, Jimmy's very much the everyman, kind of stuck in a situation that like he doesn't know what he can do, so he does the only thing he knows, and that's take pictures,
yeah, yeah.
is
Um,
record the event.
yeah.
Um, and ooh, just like at this point in the art, you feel each impact.
Yep.
Like, um, like there's the whole idea of like the people. I think that's Cat Grant in her own copter, right? Yeah.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. That's her up there.
You know, if this keeps up, we won't have a city left. And it's they keep firing. Superman gets slammed into the ground.
Loses his
Um,
cape. That's obviously where we're gonna get the cover from. Uh, Lois is still right next to Doomsday. Still
and
directly
we're
involved
right
in the
out,
action.
and it's very symbolically important that the final battle has moved to right in front of the Daily Planet.
Yeah,
Uh,
and also that if nothing else drives Superman to fight as hard as he can in these final moments, it's that Lois is right in front of Doomsday, and that she is what he's actively fighting for here. Superman's fighting for what Superman always fights for, but Lois is there. Lois is
and
directly involved
Lois is
in the
also
action.
fighting to save Jimmy. Lois is like,
Mhm,
"What? Move while you can, Jimmy. I'll distract him while you run." Like
mhm.
she is ready to give up her own life.
Yep,
Um,
I love this bit where like Superman like slams him into the wall with his lasers, and Doomsday then like kicks up with his bone and gets Superman's chin. Like it's so fucked up, and you see every single mark and bruise that they make on each other.
and it's building like up till this point the pages have had borders. Now they don't have borders.
Yep.
Like it's zooming in, you see like just Clark fighting, destroying stuff, the glass of the Daily Planet building shattering from like
Yep.
I'm assuming sonic booms.
Yeah,
uh
it's gotta be. Um, as Doomsday like steps on his cape and Superman comes into to try to do something to him. Doomsday gets another good hit in there. Then my favorite page of all comes in here. Uh,
I
and
love
it's
the narration.
oh, is it?
Just
Oh, of course. But most will remember this sad day as the day the proudest, most noble man they ever knew finally fell. For those who loved him, one who would call him husband, one who would be his pal,
pal.
or those
Or
who would call
the
him son. This is the darkest day they could ever imagine. They raised him to be a hero, to know the value of sacrifice, to know the value of life. And for those who served with Superman in the protection of all life comes the shock of failure, the weight of being too late to help. But it will. For a city to live, a man had given his all and more. But it's too late, for this is the day that a Superman died. And
Now
it's
this I know in like the
mm,
original issue was also a like a fold out panel.
Yeah.
Like,
Oh yeah.
which
Yep.
now if you get the trade, they don't do the fold out, but it is just as effective.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
I messaged Joey like, I wasn't expecting a tear up at the end of this.
Yeah, but it's there. It fucking
Like
hits.
it's and
Um,
that's how the issue ends. We
yeah.
don't we don't end with any sort of resolution. The issue ends with Superman is dead.
Yeah. And I'll
Come
tell you
back
right
next
now,
week.
like funeral's gonna open and like it's not this, big poetic moment. It's people saying like Superman can't be dead, let's try to revive him. It's very realistic reactions to this event. But again, I'm just on these last couple of pages before we move on, because I'm assuming you read the news time issue, right?
Yes.
Okay. So love the page of Jimmy taking that final picture when the finishing blow is dealt. Uh
Because Jimmy, that's all Jimmy can do. Like, he's
uh
in shock. Lois is breaking down.
Ma and Pa Kent holding each other as their son fucking dies on live TV. Oh my god. Look at that. Oh, it's
And they're
gorgeous.
the only ones who they and Lois are the only ones who know.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, it is up. This issue single handedly drove a 10-point score. This was going for like a 6. It drove it up to an 8.
Fuck yeah. That's awesome.
Like
That is
like
great.
Dan Jurgens did something amazing here.
Yeah. Yeah, he
Because
really did.
it doesn't feel edgy 90s. Like,
No, it doesn't. Despite being what most people would call the catalyst for your typical edgy 90s comic stories.
this is what directly led to DC being like, let's break Batman's back.
Oh, not just DC, but Marvel did things like this too. There were big events drawn from this.
Is that how we got the Clone Saga?
That is directly how we got the Clone Saga. To not nearly the same effect, but yes, that's how we got the Clone Saga. So let's talk about the news time issue here, which is a really cool special. This is the first time it was ever collected in these 2016 editions.
I
This
hope
is
the
an
omnibus, if you get the new omnibus, it has it too. Because
this is an in-universe magazine. It's called a magazine called News Time. Has proper like ads in it. Here we get the
it has
first page for Coast City. We get like this beer ad right in the front. You see what's you get like table of contents. You see what's in it.
And what's interesting
A
is that
Wayne Tech ad.
it seems that all 4 authors co-wrote this.
Hmm.
Um, like, which I think is already a masterful feat because it reveals in here that like all the authors who wrote this story, they aren't all living in like one area. Like, I think Dan Jurgens is like in Michigan. One of them's in like Illinois. They are across the country writing these individual issues.
Yeah. What's really cool about this is, as we continue to read in Funeral for a Friend and so on, News Time, like I said, is an in-universe magazine. You see them like wanting to make, oh yeah, here, the life and death of Superman. We're gonna make this special News Time issue, like you would see like a Time magazine or a National Geographic special. You'd see it like in a store. This is that. It's that in-universe magazine. Just super cool. I
I
really like
love
that.
I love a lot of like the people, like the real world and in universe people that they got to write things.
Mhm.
Like Alan Scott.
Yeah, you see
Um,
Alan Scott there. Of course, there's talk of Lex Luthor Jr. I love the ad here for Turtle Boy and Teeny Titans,
and Teeny Titans, which is that's hilarious.
which still at the time, if I'm not mistaken, was still the most popular DC title was Teen Titans.
That would make sense because I've been
Yeah,
looking at this. It's like, oh, hi Nightwing in that outfit.
yeah, the disco suit.
um,
um,
but like you have,
Soda Cola. I forgot Soda Cola.
I don't know what that's a reference to.
It's just a stupid name for an in-universe soda, and it's everywhere in Superman media. I love it.
But you have this great article um, written by Roger Stern,
Mhm.
um, and just talking about it and like
I
just
love this splash here for that says like Death of Superman, and you see Lois holding Clark from the perspective of Jimmy in the background in that one panel.
yes, like that's where Jimmy must have gotten like the pictures, and I think it credits photographs by Jimmy Olsen.
Yeah, yeah. Because that's the thing that they talk about later on in Funeral for a Friend is them wanting to use Jimmy's pictures because he was there throughout the whole thing.
Uh, but yeah, you get this like you then get just this great sort of this great stuff from a bunch of people. William Shatner. Uh,
Yeah, yeah, I forgot about that bit where they like talk about like all the celebrities. Oh, here it is, like the thing you were talking about. With reporting by Daniel Jurgens, Minneapolis, Louis Simonson, New York, and Jeremiah Ordway, Connecticut.
yeah, like all across the world. Like, and then you
Yeah.
have like, and they're mixed in with but like the word, it's the world reacts section where it's like, I imagine these are things that these actual people said when this comic, when the Death of Superman issue was came out, because you get William Shatner, Penn Jillette, and John Goodman.
Dan Rather is there, and like just so casually like thrown alongside Bruce Wayne, Lex Luthor the second, just
Catherine
so
Grant,
cool. Catherine Grant, yeah, there we go. Later on, Shaq, fucking Shaq.
Shaquille O'Neal.
Wonder Woman, of course, is there.
It's
It's just
Larry
so
Niven, who
so
is a who's a,
interesting.
who's a, one of those like prolific sci-fi authors of this time. Like
Yeah,
it's it's such a fascinating read.
I like the little article up there. The production delays on Galaxy Broadcasting's new Turtle Boy. Gee, I wonder why that happened. Like it's just really really fun. Um, just so many
Um,
cool little things in this.
and I think the thing that hits the hardest is it's on one of the last pages. It's not the last page, I don't think, but it's still missing Clark Kent, 34, Pulitzer Prize-winning reporter for the Daily Planet, syndicated columnist, novelist, former editor-in-chief of Newstime. In the aftermath of Doomsday's rampage through downtown Metropolis, uh, in downtown Metropolis,
Hmm.
like that Clark Kent is missing. Like,
Yeah, it's oof, it hits. It fucking hits. Just oh, I love it. You have these nice little news clippings at the end. Man of Steel dies defending city, and Daily Planet articles, National Whisper. Just a lot of really fun things in there. Love the cover gallery at the end.
a
Just a
great
really
cover gallery. Yeah, this is
yeah. It's a great collection. It's a really great collection. If you've ignored all our spoiler warnings, really do please pick up the 2016 editions because
yeah.
they really are something
It's
special.
also the editions. Let's be honest, you'll have the easiest time getting. Um,
Yeah, yeah, definitely. And again, like if you're listening to this at the time that the omnibus is out, it really is more worth your money. The Omni is nice. The Omni it would be really nice to have, but I think the 2016 editions are probably more well worth it. And they still look as nice on a shelf as an Omni
and
would.
Omni
So
and honestly, trades are easier to read than an Omni. Omnis are
yeah,
hard.
I say as I just got a new Omni today for Grant Morrison's Batman.
Hey, I got an Omni over Christmas, so
That's true. That
we're in
yeah,
the
you got
same
the
boat.
yeah, yeah. So yeah, that was Death of Superman. This is our shortest episode?
That doesn't surprise me because
Yeah,
there's a
yeah,
lot to talk about, but the plot is kind of thin.
yeah.
Um,
It's kind of a nice reprieve from the two really long episodes we just
two
had.
very long ones. Well, this is probably going to be a nice because I'm just by the thickness of Funeral for a Friend.
Yeah, and spoilers, we're gonna have a guest on next episode. So yeah, it's gonna be a longer one next time. So there'll be a lot to talk about. So enjoy the short episode while it lasts. So overall, Death of Superman, thoughts?
It's I'm still slightly conflicted because the story's not over yet.
Hmm, that's fair. That's
Like,
fair.
and this isn't. I'm not trying to say like because I do have a complaint when like a story ends with just a stop and not a conclusion. But like not here. Like this is clearly the spine is labeled one. Uh,
Yeah, yeah,
like
and and I will say like one has the least going on in it. There's a lot more to dig into in the later volumes.
yeah, this is definitely a good example of the philosophy of Superman himself, and then Lois and Jimmy. Um,
Hmm.
Lex. is a bit corny villain, just a little bit,
Yeah,
just
yeah.
a touch.
You'll
And
you'll see more of what this version of Lex is capable of later on.
of course, a romance, the cover of a romance novel, because
Because you
my
know.
I got go with nature. Everyone draws him like that.
Yeah, yeah, no, he's just it was just agreed upon, I guess. So
Um,
yeah, I love that. Obviously there's no point in revealing the next episode. You guys know we're doing the rest of the arc, so next time we'll be covering Funeral for a Friend. I will leave it linked in the description of the YouTube video.
I will say, because I did find out that like make sure you get the 2016 edition, because apparently there's an older edition called
There
World Without a
is.
Superman that
Yeah.
doesn't collect everything properly.
No, it really doesn't. And then also, I mean, it's easier with volumes 3 and 4 because volume 3, 4, and 5 because they were only ever collected the once, which fucking baffles me. Um,
You'd think this would be something like it's reprinted a bunch, just because.
yeah, yeah.
Well,
Well,
this is the
I
only
mean, like
time in comics
there
that
are,
Superman has died.
yeah, I mean,
Like,
there are a million editions of Death of Superman itself. There are so many versions of this volume, but
but like,
after it, just they just didn't bother to collect a lot of it. At least not a
if
lot
I'm
of
going to be
time.
honest, I'm more excited for what comes next than I perhaps was for this, because this, you know what you're getting.
Yeah, yeah. I'll be curious to see what you make of some of the later volumes because uh some of the direction the story takes is maybe isn't quite what you'd be expecting. So I'm really curious to see what you think later on. So yeah, we'll be covering Funeral for a Friend next time. Of course, as always, if you like listening, please consider subscribing to the YouTube channel. Even if you don't listen to us on YouTube, just go subscribe to the YouTube channel. It shows your support, and it would mean a lot. Um,
Please,
actually, also, I just saw last week at the time of recording, that they just added podcast ratings to Spotify.
oh,
Yeah, they
so
just
yeah, if you're
yeah,
listening
so
on Spotify, please leave us a rating. If you're listening
yeah,
on Apple
uh,
Podcasts, please leave us a rating and a review. That will help us in
yes.
both their algorithms, reach more people who may want to get into comics, and share it with your friends.
Yeah, especially now that we're getting into like other territory of comics. Hopefully, we'll reach a different sort of audience now that we're covering Superman stuff. Should be really interesting. I'm really curious to see where this episode goes. But yeah, so of course, if you're watching on YouTube, leave a comment. Just let us know what you think. Share it around with your friends. It really does mean a lot to know that there's support there. And yeah, I think that about does it. This is definitely our shortest episode. Wow. All right. Well, thank you all so much for listening. I guess until next time, this has been Joey Morgan.
And Jacob Licklider.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.